Hello and welcome back to another video. This week's video is a video I feel has been a long time coming. I've mentioned it a couple of times in my previous videos, and I feel like I'm seeing this more and more, and it was about time I made a rant video against it, because it's something I feel very passionately about, and I genuinely think something needs to be done about it. I also feel like I'm the only one who thinks this, because it's become this popular trend and no one's said anything. As far as I know, no one else has said anything about it. So yeah, here's my rant video. You'll have to excuse me because I don't know how this is going to come out in the edit, because I haven't written a script. Usually I write a script, or at least make notes about what I want to say, but I feel like this kind of video is better off if I just kind of speak and then edit all the crap out and all the awkward pauses and ums throughout the video. Apologies, I kind of look a bit undisheveled, I guess. I haven't really bothered today. I'm having a lazy day. I haven't been shaving during this isolation quarantine thing. I nearly said I haven't been showering. I've definitely been showering. Also, shout out to my new phone. I've got a new phone, so hopefully this will be a bit crisper. I think I'm shooting in 4K, so thank you, iPhone 11. Right, let's get into the video. So I've mentioned this in my last two review videos, and I think I mentioned it in a couple of other tip videos too, and it is the fact that pages and paper are being wasted so much in our poetry collections these days. It seems to be a modern thing. I feel like it's a modern thing because I've gone over some of my more classical collections, and I haven't noticed anything. It's all the new poetry collections that are coming out that are just riddled with this horrible trend of wasting paper. I've got 3 collections here. That's in the wrong pile. I've got 2 collections here. Right, I'm missing one. Give me 2 seconds, I'm missing one of these. Oh, very unorganised with this video. Okay, I got it. Right, I've got 3 collections that I want to show you. Okay, so where was I? I don't even know where I was now. Yeah, so there's this modern trend going around. Let me put them on the desk. Where, I can't even see the camera on this phone. Where modern poets are just not being conscious at all. My hair's getting long. Oh gosh, this is going to be a very all over the place video. This is why I write scripts. Okay, so what am I talking about? I am talking about the use of space in these modern collections. 2 of these I've already spoken about. Another one I'll speak about at a later date, I'm sure. So things like this, that, this. And here's the thing, I thought that I thought that this was just self-publishing poets being irresponsible and not considering the effects on the environment that, you know, these poets are having. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and flick through pages at the same time, which is probably very difficult to watch on your end, I'm sure. I mean, look, there's that's two pages next to each other. So anyway, my point has been made. I don't understand. I thought this is going to be terrible. I thought it was just self-publishing poets that this issue was with. There's numerous posts on Instagram of people reading collections and saying, oh, I really enjoyed this poem, and if you did, that's great. But my point is not that the poem is short, but that there are so many poets out there, self-publishing poets out there, that are doing this as if we've got, you know, infinite amounts of resources. But it's not just self-publishing poets, because all three of these are traditional publishing houses. So it's not just poets, it's publishers too. And I don't understand why people aren't being a bit more considerate with the paper that we use. We all know, I know there's bigger things going on in the world right now with the situation as it is, but I still think that there's a place to rant about this. And why are we doing it? Why is this okay? Why? We've known for so long that, you know, trees are important and they're being cut down. What you got to remember is that's just 3 books sitting on my desk, but you kind of, I mean, I don't know how you pronounce her surname, so I'm sorry if this is wrong, but Rupi Kaur, #1 New York Times bestseller, probably sold thousands if not more. Bella Thorne, A-list Hollywood celebrity, probably sold thousands if not more. Gabbie Hanna, a very popular internet figure, public figure, probably sold thousands if not more. So you think how many pages that have been sold and gone out to the world with just 2 sentences on them. I think it's very wasteful. So what's the solution, I hear you ask? Well, I've got some collections here. I don't know if you can see them on the screen. Here's a good examples. Savannah Brown, probably my favourite sort of self-publishing poet out there. Her poems, they're all a page long. They're all long. There are some shorter pieces in here, granted. But for the most part, they're all longer pieces. Okay, that's a bad example. There's just one little drawing on there, or illustration. But as you can see, if I pick up this massive collection of Carol Ann Duffy, it's huge. You scroll through, I can't, it's too big. It's too big, but I'll do that. Look at the size of the text in there. That's how it's done. Again, Simon Armitage. Longer texts. These are books. See, that's the thing. Insta poetry has become so popular because it's easy to ingest, it's easy to read, easy to follow. You can start reading it and 2 seconds later you're finished and you move on. That's why it's become so popular. But it's popular on Instagram because that's how the medium works. It's designed to be quick so that you can read it and move on. That's what people want to do when they're scrolling through Instagram. They don't want to be stuck and locked in. Whereas I feel like with a book, people actually take the time to sit down and they want to spend, you know, half an hour ingesting a poem or spend a couple of hours reading a whole collection. So that's why it's important that we kind of, and I'm not picking this up, I'll pick them up together, so it's not, that's why it's important when we're writing collections as poets, that we remember that we're writing a book rather than a post for social media. So again, so what's the answer? And I am going to use one of my own collections here. I'm not saying that my poems are any better. I'm just saying I thought this out a bit more than other poets have. So what's the solution if you are, like me, someone who has kind of gained a reputation on Instagram and writes predominantly Insta poetry, even though I'm trying to become more like this, be on that level rather than the other level where it's just quick short fire poetry, excuse me. And that's not to say, I've already said this in another video, sorry I keep burping, God, it's the coffee. That's not to say that I'm going to stop writing Insta poetry, because it's what comes more naturally to me. I'm going on a tangent, but what I'm saying is, even though I'm trying to aim for this, what's the answer if you want to carry on writing short poetry, if that's your thing, if that's your style. Well, before I show you mine, I'm going to show you, I recently bought this, and it's by Penguin Classics, the Penguin Book of First World Poetry. And I just so happened for this video to just pick up all my collections and do this, just to kind of see what the situation is. And I found this. And I've never seen this before, apart from in my collection, but I'm sure it's all over the place. It's not just this book that's done it. But you've got a long poem here and it ends there. And then they've got loads of this space. So what do? They put another poem there. Oh my goodness. Genius. Who would have thought that you can have 2 poems on 1 page? I sound like a sarky bastard right now. And that's what I did with my first collection of Insta poems, I guess, which I didn't set out to write as Insta poems. It was just kind of, I was just writing down thoughts of the day and ended up putting it in a collection. So that's 1 poem, but as you can see, 2 poems. And I know you can talk about the space. Granted, I hold my hands up, I could have brought it back. I could have lessened the space between the poems. But look, there's 6 poems on 2 pages. Another 6 poems on 2 pages. That's 12 poems on 4 pages so far. Boom. And so on and so forth. You get the point. So I've seen that the excuse for some poets is that the space is part of the poem. The space enhances the poem. And I guess I've been thinking about that, and my answer to that would be, well, if you need all that space to get the message of the poem across, then I would suggest you relook at the poem. I've got poems in here that would do better if they were just on a single page, but I trust in the words and I trust in the emotion that I was feeling when I wrote them, that they're still just as powerful alongside other poems than they would be if they took up a whole page. Because your job as a poet is to create emotion and paint a picture through your words, right? Rather than what's not on the page. Basically, you're cheating, and what you're really saying is, here's a little hint of an emotion. Now you're asking the reader to do all the work for you. The reader's you're asking your reader's subconscious mind to kind of put 2 and 2 together and paint the picture themselves, rather than you doing all the work. So that's really quite lazy, I think. Anyway, I don't think there's much else to say on that. That's just my rant to self-publishing poets and traditional publishing houses as well. Stop being wasteful. Stop being silly. Get your act together. Otherwise I'll come and find you and do bad things. My name's Adam Gary. I don't know how well this video will go down. I've had no scripts. As you can see, I'm a rambler. Hence how this came about, the Random Ramblings of a Restless Mind, which is the first book in a collection of 3. I might as well plug it if you want to buy it. If not, don't worry. Yeah, stay safe everyone, and let me know if you agree, because I genuinely feel like I'm on my own here. I genuinely feel like no one else really cares about the resources that are going into printing thousands of copies of that. See ya.